All right. Good evening. This message is for members of Logan County, Illinois. Um, and I wanted to share a little bit of information with you about some of these wind farms that are in our county. Um, I am just a citizen, just like you, and I got interested in these wind farms when I got the letter that one was coming to my area. So I started doing a little research, and somehow I ended up getting, let's say, interested in the decommissioning portion of our wind farms. For those of you that don't know anything about decommissioning, decommissioning is the phase of the wind farm project where they're done, they're over with, they've exceeded their usefulness, and they're going to be tore down. So, in order to get your attention and get your interest into this video, so you understand it does pertain to you, I am going to share with you right up front the big part of this, and that is the amount of agreements that the decommissioning projects for the 4 wind farms in Logan County consist of, and why I am concerned about it. So so you can see this and put it in your memory. We're talking here about 39 million, over 39 million, almost $40 million worth of decommissioning estimates, and about 10% of that is going to be in bonds, and I'm going to get to that here in a minute. But the concern that I have about that is that our county board has not done what they needed to do to protect those documents, and they essentially have lost key components of those agreements. Not all the legal agreements are in place, not all the plans, which I'll get to here in a minute. Well, none of the plans are available. They've misplaced those, and all the financial assurance documentation that goes with these decommissioning materials is not available either. So the reason why this would be interesting to you is because those plans and those financial assurance bond amounts and letters of credit, I'll get into that again here in a minute, protect you, the citizen, the taxpayer, and specifically the landowners that have participated in these wind projects. So this video is going to be of interest to you whether you are pro or opposed to wind farms. This isn't about, taking a position on wind farm, justifying the wind farms and nothing like that. Just to let you know that we have an issue here in Logan County and I need your help. So that's what this is all about. So let me get in a little bit of details. And now that I got your attention, hope I do. So our wind farms here in Logan County, there's 4 of them that are in production. And the numbers that I have just cited to you are just the ones that are in production. There are 2 more that have been approved. And then from what I'm hearing, there is 2 more that are seeking application, meaning they're going to the proper channels to get approval. So in the near future, our 4 wind farms in Logan County are going to double to 8 over the next coming years, is what it looks like. So it's very, very important that we get this straightened out as quickly as possible. So I'm going to need your help. So let me give you a little bit of education here. For those of you that aren't familiar with this, most people aren't, a little bit confusing. I'm going to try to dial it down to make it as simple as possible. I'm not an expert. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer. I am just a concerned citizen, done some of my own research. So I'm going to disseminate and share this with you, and you can do with it what you like. So again, for your, just to kind of get this in your mind here, 4 wind farms, rail splitter, has a 2008 signature date on the contract. There is roughly 67 turbines from what I'm getting from the paperwork that I've got. And it has about $13 million worth of decommissioning. And then we have Hilltopper, 74 turbines, contract signed in 2018. And again, it has about $12.7 million worth of decommissioning estimates. Whitney Hill, 24 turbines, 2019 date there, and around $4.4 million. And then finally, the last one here, Sugar Creek, 57 turbines. I've got a 2019 date on the contract, but I don't have the proper contract, so I don't know exactly what the date is on that, but it's $9.6 million from what I can tell. Again, these details that I'm sharing with you are the best that I've got because I don't have everything. and nor does the county. That's the problem. County has not done what they needed to do to maintain those materials and manage those agreements the way that they should be managed. So I'm going to run down. I just gave you the highlights on the 4. Let me spend a couple more moments and share with you what the problem is that I've had with these 4. Now, I got this material, just so you know, I got this material by submitting a FOIA. A FOIA is a way that you can legally request government documentation under the FOIA Act. Submit that in a way of a form to your county board or whatever county office that you're seeking the material from, and they're obligated to provide that information to you under law. So that's how I, and actually myself and a friend of mine got the material that we did get, and also got the response from the county board that there was no other material that could be found. So that's how I have the material in hand, and that's how I'm giving this to you. So again, total between the 4 wind farms, around $40 million, rounding up a little bit, and bond amounts of 10% of that. Whitney Hill, they have no plan on file. Well, you know what? Let me before I go into those details, let me go over with you the parts of what we call the decommissioning material. Okay, there are 3 different pieces to this. Okay, so when a wind farm goes to your local government and tries to get a permit or gets a permit for the construction of the wind farm, there's a lot of paperwork that gets processed, and when it pertains to the decommissioning phase, there are three different sections of that. Okay, there's the agreement. The agreement is like, you think of it as the legal contract. It's got the contract language in it. I've got four agreements here. I'll tell you what the problems are for the ones that I have in hand. But they're half a dozen pages long. They're not real lengthy, but a lot of legal language in there, and they touch on the highlights. Nothing in detail in terms of engineering or the process of getting rid of them. Then there's the plan. That's the second piece to these decommissioning materials. The plan is a lengthy document that has engineering details in it. Talks about how the wind turbines will be removed, and what are the requirements for putting the land back to its original use. So things are in there like all material, like concrete, and wiring has to be removed within 5 feet, 5 feet below ground. Anything 5 feet and above has to be removed. Those are the kinds of details that are in the decommissioning plan. It's a lengthy engineering document. It's an agreement between the wind farm and the county saying that if they take this, when they take this wind farm down, that this is the minimum requirements that they'll follow to ensure that they're doing a sufficient job. And then the third part is the financial assurance documents. Now that comes in the form of 2 different vehicles. That can either be a letter of credit, which is typically a short-term, you think of it like an insurance policy. It's usually not a lengthy agreement. You'll have to go to somebody a little more expertise to get the details on that. The letter of credit is typically a short-term note. And then a surety bond is similar to a letter of credit, provides the same type of coverage, but it's usually through a surety agent or a different like a bonding agent or whatever you might say, and it's a more long-term commitment. But either one, both are referenced in a decommissioning agreement, and we have both in ours. But those are the 3 parts: the agreement, the plan, and the financial assurance paperwork. Okay. All right, so where does that leave us? I got some notes here. So what kind of problems do we have with the ones that we have on file? Let me go over that with you. Okay, so Whitney Hill, no plan on file, and no letter of credit. And I'm not doing, well, let me do these in chronological order. I'll start with rail splitter, help you follow along a little bit better. That one was done in 2018. It's been in production 15 years. It has no plan on file and no surety bond on file for that one. The next one would be Hilltopper 2018. No, again, no plan on file and no letter of credit on file for that one. Whitney Hill, the third one I've mentioned. Again, sound like a broken record here, but no plan on file and no letters of credit on file. And then Sugar Creek 2019. We got a problem with Sugar Creek because I don't have a complete signed document. We don't have a complete, as far as I can tell, a legal binding agreement. So the agreement is invalid from what I can tell. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but it's got a problem because it doesn't have, it's missing the date, and I believe it is also missing a signature. Let me just take a quick look at that one. Let's say Sugar Creek, Whitney Hill. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. So as you can see with this one, there is no date on the agreement. So I would say that's certainly probably not a legal document. Those of you that are attorneys, if an attorney watching this, you can, maybe put something in the comments. But anyway, so that one's got a big problem with it. And again, no plan, no bonds. That one is have references to letter of credit, no letter of credit on file. No letter of credit on file. So those are the problems that I found with the agreements. What does that mean to us, and why should you care about $40 million worth of contractual material being lost by the county? Well, the way this works is when they do go to remove these things, and now remember, or not remember, but I'll help you understand a little bit that wind farms, again, whether you're for them or against them, doesn't. I mean, I'm not position myself on that, but they run on subsidies, and there are historical. There are times in the past when subsidies dried up. The government decided not to subsidize these projects any longer, and the companies that the wind farms just walked away. They went bankrupt. Back in the 1980s, there were one popular one in Hawaii and numerous ones in California. I think Southern California, where they just stayed standing because they couldn't take them down. Counties or whatever couldn't afford to take them down. Landowners couldn't afford to take them down, and they just stayed there as an eyesore. And these wind farm companies, every one of these is an LLC. So they're a limited liability company or corporation, and they can walk away. From what I understand, there is no obligation to them. They can file for bankruptcy, they can dissolve, walk away from this. So that's why these agreements are in place, right? So what happens if they do decide to do that? Because it reaches end of life and they can no longer maintain it. They choose not to decommission them and they let it fall to the county, or subsidies dry up, administration changes. We get a Republican in office and he's not favorable to these projects, and he decides to stop providing subsidies. We get Republican House and Congress or whatever, and they decide not to no longer support these the way that they are. New technology comes out. There's a host of reasons why wind farms could be decommissioned or no longer useful. So these agreements are in place to protect the county and protect you, the taxpayer, and protect you if you happen to have one of these on your land. So the way that many of these are written, not all of them are written this way, but many are written that if the wind farm decides or does not decommission these projects, that it goes to the county, and the county draws on the letters of credit or the surety bonds to pay for that project. And if the county chooses not to do it, then the landowner has access to those funds. I can tell you that these projects are extremely complicated. The ability for landowners to do it, in my opinion, is not really feasible. But there's supposed to be financial assurance there to protect that, and that's why these bonds and these letter of credits are so critical. And the fact that they can't manage them, they've signed them during board meetings and approved them. They've approved them. They've been subsequently signed by the chair, whoever was the chair at the time, and and they just, I don't know, not sure where they went. I don't know if anybody knows where they went. My concern is that they can't manage these four. They're not going to manage the next four that come down the road, and our $40 million are going to turn into a much bigger project. The other thing I want to mention to you, it's not just the fact that they can't keep the material on file and find it, but there are timed events that have to take place to manage these things. So I wrote this again so you can put this in your memory. The bonds and letters of credit have expiration dates. Typically, many of them are 12 months. They have to be renewed. If they're not renewed, then there's things that the county can do to draw on those funds to protect us in case the wind farm chooses not to renew them or just doesn't do it. They're delinquent. Just happened very recently in McLean County. They sued a wind farm. In fact, I don't quote me, but I believe it was one of the wind farms that are about to put up a project here in our area. They were sued by McLean County, if I got that right, McLean or DeWitt, because they didn't put up the bond amount, or the proper bond amount, so they sued them. So that happens. So that's important. The county has to maintain those bonds. They have to check on those bonds, make sure they're renewed. Second thing is there's bond schedules, and I'm not going to go into details. If you want more information on this, I can go into more detail. I know a little bit more about this when I'm sharing now. I'm trying to be as brief as possible. But they have bond schedules according to what we call the AMA agreement. It's a state agreement, and it's a 10% bond amount per AMA from year 1 to year 5, 50% from year 6 to year 10, and then 11th year on, it's supposed to be 100% bonded. Those schedules, if that's the route that the agreement chooses to take, the county is supposed to ensure that that happens. The third piece that's a data, that's a timed event, is that most of these are written that every 5 years, I believe one's maybe 10, but every 5 years is supposed to re-estimate the decommissioning project to make sure that that the amounts are still accurate, and the estimates are still valid according to current costs. So there's 3 areas where it's important for the county to manage these industrial projects of tens of millions of dollars, and I think, my opinion, they failed to do the basics, and I'm concerned that they don't have what they need to manage, the projects that not only we have, but also the ones that we're about to have in the very near future. One more tidbit I'll mention to you is that there's been a cycle of state legislation, recent of which that I'm aware of, was signed into law in this past December-January time frame, that essentially stripped the county from its ability to say no to wind farms. Now, there are some counties in the state that are just saying, hey, we don't want them here, and we're going to fight you on that. But Logan County doesn't have that, that opinion. That's not the position that they take, and they don't seem to be overly aggressive to protect our county. In my opinion, protect you as a citizen, and they tend to just approve the ones that come across. So they're going to continue to hit this county again. We've got 4. If you look around at night, the red blinking lights, you can consider those, maybe double, maybe more. We've got 60 of them that are been approved just right around our area. So they're going to be here in force over the next several years. We got to, if we can't stop that, if you do want to stop that, and this can't be stopped or slowed down or nothing like that, then we got to make sure that we've done our due diligence on these decommissioning plans. So that's what I had to say about that. What can you do to help ensure that your community is protected from this? And again, it's a real problem. You may not realize it. It may seem like it's a long ways down the road, but the one that's signed in 28 is already, from what I hear, they're already looking at upgrading those. So they pretty much essentially reached their end of life, is what I understand anyway. And they'll say that oh, they're supposed to last 30 years. No, from what I've known, they anywhere from 15 to 20. 18 seems to be sort of a magic number. When I hear repeatedly about 18 years. 18 years isn't that long, as you might be aware. Down the road, maybe you're older and maybe you don't think you're going to have to worry about that. But maybe your kids will, or your grandkids will. So if you could help out, and I encourage you to do a few things here that I'm going to suggest, and help me out to make sure that your voice is heard for the county, or at the county, and let them know that you've heard about this and you have concerns, and you're going to ask the county board to do what they need to do to make this right and to manage these projects the way they need to manage them. So first things first is I FOIA'd. My original FOIA was back in November of last year. I got an incomplete response. Basically got what I showed you. I FOIA'd again, thinking maybe I just asked it wrong in May and June. I got my response again, pretty much the same material, and then they told me they essentially lost it. That's what the chair of the county board replied to my FOIA, said that they dropped the ball and they can't find the material. And I've got the email to show that. So I thought, well, who's responsible for this? So I looked it up, and according to Illinois Record Act, and I got the number here, is 50 ILCS 205. The county chair is responsible for the Illinois Record Act, and these, I believe, would fall under the Illinois Record Act for managing. So our county chair at the county board is responsible for this. Now, if she delegates it, or she or he delegates it, or whatever, however they manage that, it's irrelevant. What's important is they're the ones that are accountable to make sure that these materials are filed properly and managed properly, and that's important. So again, going back to what can you do? Well, you can call your county board. There's the number to the county board. That's the county board office. You can ask for the name and number of your county board member that was elected to your county zone. If you don't know that person, the county board office can give you that name and the number to contact, and then call that county board member directly and let them know that you're concerned about this and you'd like to be kept updated with the progress. And then the second thing is that's the website. If you go on the website and then go to the government's menu and go to Logan County board, you can find the names and numbers of all the county board members, as well as go down at the bottom, upcoming meetings. I encourage you to come to some of the county board meetings. They're held monthly, and they've got committee meetings, they've got board meetings. You can attend any of those. They're open to the public, legally responsible, open to public, and essentially all of them have a moment where if you feel that you're motivated to do that, you can get up and speak and share your thoughts and express your concern about this. The last thing you can do, if you like this material, if it's helpful, this is the first one I've done. I don't know that I'll do another one. But if this is helpful, you like the material, you would like more information about the wind farm, and maybe even have some questions about your county, about Logan County, and what are we doing at the county level for budgetary things and other topics, share them with me. I don't know if this video is going to be on Facebook, on YouTube, or where we'll post it, but put it in the comments. I will do my best to read those. I'll respond. If you've got a question, I'll try to find an answer to your question and respond to that. if there's enough interest in another video, more detail about these decommissioning plans or wind farms. I've got a background in engineering, and I've got a little bit of other experience that I'm kind of applying to this project to get a little better handle on how are we handling things at the county level. So I'd love to hear your feedback. What is of interest to you? What are the concerns of you at the county level? And then I'll read through that and just see what we can do. Maybe we end up doing some more videos and start pulling a community of folks together to help make Logan County a better place to live and better place for to raise our families. So God bless, and I appreciate your time. Thank you for sticking with me for 25 minutes or so, and we'll see you on the other side.